Hi traders, it's Jay with thetraderinstitute.com. Just want to remind everyone that futures, forex, and options trading is risky and you can lose money. Therefore, you should only trade with risk capital. Please consult your financial advisor or investment professional before making any investments in futures, forex, or options. No guarantee of income or solicitation of futures, forex, or options or any other financial instrument is being made in these videos. Alright, so we will be having a event this Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We'll be holding a special webinar, Volume Profile Done Right. You can go to this link, which I'll include in the notes on the bottom of this video. Please register for that and come and see what we're doing with Volume Profile and how it can help you in your trading. And also after that, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll be having a trial session for the agent session, and we will basically be going over what we're offering and giving out our levels during that session for different markets, different futures markets, and the forex markets as well. So join us. If you can't make it to the 4:30 webinar, try to join us for the free trial for the agent session, or vice versa. If you can't make it to the agent session, be sure to make this event at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. So I'll include the link in the bottom of this video.
All right, it's April 19th, just after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just after 7:30 a.m. here in Hong Kong on the 20th. So in terms of how our levels played out yesterday, once again, still a pretty good day in terms of how our levels ended up performing. Now you can see we actually were looking for 99.5, okay? The high ended up being 98.5. So we were within 4 ticks of the high, called from the previous agent session. And you'll notice that going into the 19th, the level that we had 2 weeks ago, 2 Sundays ago, this was put out 2086. Hey, good night, Zach. 2086 was put out 2 weeks ago. Not just this previous Sunday's recap, but the one before that. We're both talking about 2086 being a key level. And so going, even before we started the European or London session, the market took off to our next level, which was 2091. The high that we pushed through there was 2091.75. So 5 ticks, and then the market went back below, played around it for a while until the London Open. And once it got back above 2091, then we shot all the way up to 98.50 before before we were even a couple hours into the London session. So we didn't quite get to our level at the 99.5, but I mean, within 4 ticks, you can't complain, right? And so where did we sell off to going into the U.S. session? Well, as you can see, the market slid back down right to 91, right around the open of the cash open of the U.S. session, and the price only went 2 ticks through. The low was 20.90.5. And then we went back up to try and test the London highs. We couldn't get there the first time, came back down, came back up again, tried to test it again, and then we finally broke down through 91, and where did we go to? Right back down to 86. The first push through 86 was only to 85.50. The second push through before reversing was to 85, and therefore we only had we were off that level when we came back down again. I mean, you had to expect that. Basically what they were doing was testing the Asian lows, which we talked about already, was 2086. So the market came back down, and we went 4 ticks. I mean, even if you call it 5 ticks through 86, and then we reversed. And where did we go to? Right back up to 91. We pushed through 3 ticks, went back down, finally broke through again, came back to test it, back up a few points, back in to test it again, pushed through it by 3 ticks, back up again, and then sold off into the close. And that sell-off, as you can see right now, has put us back almost exactly at 91 again. In fact, we did have a small bounce off at 91 after the close. So that's how things performed on the ES. We'll look at another market. All right. So NASDAQ, again, variations on a theme. In the Asian session, we had played between our levels at 45.52 3/4 and 45.58 half, and so we're kind of sideways going into the London session. And just prior to the London session, around the European Open, we popped up a little bit, back up to 45.58 half. We finally popped through. As we popped through, we came back, tested it, came back, tested it again, tested it a third time, and then after the London Open, we shot up 44, 45, 65, 75. We expected that to be a level. It went up, it came back, it didn't quite test it, went all the way up to 45, 77, 75, and couldn't get through there for quite some time. That was another one of our levels. Popped through to 45.85, back down to 45.77. We got a couple bounces off that level. Again, kept playing around that 45.77, 75 level. Came back down through, tested it one more time before the U.S. Open, prior to news at 8:30, and then started selling off. And basically, we retraced all the action from the Asian and London sessions. We came into 45.40, 75 and 45.38, 75. We pushed through that as low as 45.34. So I mean, it went through 4 points. The NASDAQ was a lot of the markets were a bit trickier yesterday, but you can see many times that the levels often held to the tick, so there was still lots of opportunity. When we came back up, you can see 45.52, 75 tagged exactly around 10 a.m. This is on Central Time, so it tagged there around 9 a.m., 9:30, something like that, and then came all the way back down to 45.40.75. Big bounce off that again. Came back through to that zone in 45.40.75 and 45.38.75, and then from there we sold off. Couldn't quite get down to our level, 45.98.50, but we came back up again. Where does the market have trouble? 45.29.25, 45.38.75, sell off again, back up to 45.38.75, sell off again into the close. Crude oil, similar to the NASDAQ, it played around a lot yesterday, but you can see multiple opportunities at or around our levels. After the Asian session, we went above our level at 41.13 up to 41.40, blasted through it, came back, tagged it once, back up, almost to 41.62. Couldn't quite make it, went back, tagged 41.40 again, then launched up all the way up to 41.83. It went as high as 41.94, 95. So it did go through that level at 41.83 quite a bit. Not so much the first time. It only went through about 5 or 7 ticks. The second time it came through, but when it came back to 41.83, very next candle tagged back to 41.83 within a couple ticks, then all the way down to 41.62, a little pullback to 41.71, and back down to our level at 41.40, back up to 41.62, back down to 41.40, and finally after London had opened, the market started to stabilize. We went back up to try and test the Asian highs. Again, reaction at 41.83 down to couldn't quite make the Asian highs. We go back down to 41.71, back up to 41.83, play around there again, all the way back down to 41.62, play around there again, back up to 41.83. And so there was plenty of opportunities to be playing off the levels. And we finally get back down, going into the after the crude open, and we had to expect that you're going to test some of the London lows, which is exactly what happened. We just basically busted through the London lows. We didn't get to our level at 41.13 again. We came only within looks like 9 ticks of that. But once we got back up above 40, there was an opportunity to get in there, and 41.62, 41.71, there were still opportunities to catch this big move up. And so where did we go? Well, we went almost directly to 41.62, which was one of our key levels that we expected to be tested. As you can see, it's a black line, and black lines are the ones that are the major kind of do or die levels, and you can see how that played out very nicely at 41.40 yesterday, and also to 42.62. We did end up going as high as 42.90, but what happened, after we sold off, we came back into 42.62, and once we got back below it, we tagged it one more time and then sold off. And the first area that the market had a problem with was 42.28, again one of our levels. We just kind of went sideways there into the crude close. And if you look at now what's happened, we've come back down. We came all the way down to 41.83. Again, we get a bounce back down to 41.71. We get a bounce, and so the market was more difficult. And pushed some of our levels a little bit more than usual yesterday, but there was still plenty of opportunity. And you can see that one of the ways that that we can play our levels is that if we push through, but then we come back through a level, usually there's often one, if not multiple opportunities where the market tags that level again or pushes through it by a few ticks, or misses it by 1 or 2 ticks, where we can still take advantage of that. So we've looked at the S&P E-mini, we've looked at the NASDAQ, we've looked at the crude oil, so that'll be the end of the review for the levels yesterday, and then we'll do projections afterwards. All right, so what do we see on the ES going into the 20th? Essentially, 99.5 is still kind of the line in the sand for further upside action. We've put in some levels at 94.75 and 20.92. To the downside, there's a few levels along the way, such as 87.25, 20.85, and 20.84. The major levels below us would be 81, 2081, and if we As I told the members, I see that if we are going to do some kind of major push back up, 81, 2072, 75, and 2066 quarter are going to be key. If we could come back in between either 272 quarter or to 66 quarter or somewhere in between, that would be a place where I think we could launch higher. So watch 81, 72, 75, and 66 quarter. So that's what I'm seeing on the ES. All right. So what do we see on crude oil going into the 20th? So we've adjusted some of our levels slightly. A lot of them remain the same. I still think 42.60 is a key level, and so is 43.12 to the upside. Beyond that, we'd be looking at 43.77. If I can bring that in there, yeah. To the downside, 41.40 and 41.13 are still major levels. We have some levels in between, like 42.28, 41.84, 41.52, etc. If we were to break 41.13, that is, I think, really the key right now. Okay, that would take us most likely down to 40.22 or 40.15. Beyond that, we'd be looking at the 39s. We'd be looking at 39.29, 39.26. All right, so it's kind of the projections on crude oil for now. Okay. All right, so on NASDAQ, what do I see and where are we potentially heading? Now that we put in a high up at 45.80, 84 half or 84.75. By the way, even though 45.77 three quarter was our level, one of the members during the regular session, Marilyn, she actually pointed out that she saw this area up at 45.85. Hope she doesn't mind. You can see she noticed on NASDAQ that there was an area at 45.84.50, which ended up being the high of the day. So nice for her to point that out to us. So that area is going to be key again. The major level is, even though the high was 45.84 half, the major level is still 45.77 three quarter. You can see we've tagged 45.38.75 twice, and I did have that as a black level. It is a major level there, 45.38.75 and 45.40. If we continue down, you can see I've got 45.98.56, or sorry, 45.98.50. And beyond that, I'd have to bring in some more of the levels, which I don't have on this chart. But so those are some major levels to look for going into the 20th on the NASDAQ. Okay, so for the projections on gold, we've actually created an area up around 58 to 59.6, 1258 to 1259.6. If we were to come in to test that area, that might be critical. If we go through that, then I still see 1263.7 and 1265.2 as the major areas to the upside. To the downside, 1241.7 and 1236.8 are going to be critical.